Hello everybody, this is Mr. David. This is the lesson for lesson 7-6 in math called Exact Numbers of Wholes. Today's lesson is all about looking at an improper fraction and being able to determine quickly if it is a whole number or if it is a mixed number when it gets converted back. We are going to do two different ways. There are three actually, but we don't have access to way number three. So we are going to do two different ways that you can do this problem. It's going to require a lot of materials compared to our usual lessons, and there's a little construction involved with it. So we're going to do a little hands-on demo first, and you can work with me on it to build something. After it's made, you can use that to solve these problems, or you can use a mathematical method. I'd suggest you do both, so you get good with them both. Today's page is actually pretty short. It's one page here that you're looking at, plus some math boxes, and that's it. So as far as work in your book, it's short. But as far as what you have to do out of your book, there's a few things involved. It's kind of fun to do, but there are some steps. So our objective today, again, as I said, is being able to determine by looking at a fraction, an improper fraction, if it is a whole number or if it is a mixed number when it gets converted, and being able to explain that. So I hope after this lesson you're able to do that and accomplish this. Alright, so today, as I said, there are a lot of supplies needed. So I'm going to remove this. So you're just looking at my desktop here. And there's a little glare from my desk light, but we'll take care of that in a little bit. Here are the things you're going to need to accomplish the building part of this lesson. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a highlighter and a pencil. That's more for the lesson, but you'll need that. You'll need a straight edge today for your math boxes. And then one of these two things, some tape or some glue. One of those objects. It doesn't matter which one. You can do this without these two pieces, but I think it's a lot easier to do the project if you have something to connect it. It doesn't have to be connected, but it works a lot better, and it's much faster to use if you have it. So if you have glue around the house, it can be the liquid spray-on glue too, or the white glue. That's fine. Or tape, and it doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be Scotch tape. I'm sorry. It could be masking tape. Yeah, heck, you could even use duct tape if you wanted. Just a little piece of tape to connect it. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So take a look there. You might want to pause the video here so you can see this picture and then go around your house, kind of like a scavenger hunt for math, and find all of this stuff. Okay, and remember your straight edge doesn't have to be a ruler. It can just be a straight edge. Okay, I'll give you a second, and then I'm going to start up here. Okay, so I'm going to remove the supplies from the camera so I have a workspace so I can show you what you need to do today to build this tool that we're going to use in our lesson and in the future. So there that is out of the way. Now what you're going to need to do is go into the back of your book, your math book that came in your green bag. The last 3 pages of your math book have some pages in them that are perforated, which means they have little spots so you can tear them out. And they're made of a little heavier paper, kind of a cardboard paper. There are 3 pages. They look like this. They have a bunch of lines on them. We have activity sheet 15, activity sheet 16, and activity sheet 17. You're going to need all 3 of those. And you'll see it's perforated, so if you fold it or just gently tug at it, you can even do all 3 at a time if you're careful. You can tear this out of your book. You can go ahead and cut it if you want, but it's easier if you tear it out of your book. When you're done, you're going to have 3 pieces of paper, and all 3 of them are going to have this heading on it. It's going to say number line poster continued, and number line poster continued again. Okay, so we are going to turn this into a poster, a larger poster that you can actually put on your wall, or you can keep it on your desk where you work, or whatever, and this will be a handy tool for doing this. We're going to do the lesson with the poster, and there's a way to do it without the poster. Now, I did mention earlier there is a third way to do this, and that would be to log on to your device, go to EM Games or EM Materials. It's in the Everyday Math. It's in the link on Classroom. You can click there, and if you know your login pattern, you could log in and you could go to the virtual toolkit, and you could use fraction circles too. That is the hardest, most tedious way to do it, but it doesn't require any materials, and it doesn't require you to use a lot of numbers. The The poster is probably the best way if you don't know how to do it mathematically. And we all have the poster because we all have our book, and we all have numbers. So we're going to use those for this lesson today. All right, let's construct this. So your first sheet, activity sheet 15, you can just set aside. You don't need that right now. You'll need it later, but not now. You want to put aside also activity sheet 17. You don't need that one either. So just put that one aside. You will need it in a minute, but not right now. We're going to focus on activity sheet number, 16. That's the one we're going to focus on. We need to prepare this one for being used. And you'll notice on top, right up here, there's a little thing that looks like a pair of scissors. So what you're going to do, very quickly and not hard, is you're just going to cut along this dashed line up the left side. So I'm just going to take my scissors off camera. I don't think I need to demonstrate how to use a pair of scissors to you. You're, almost in middle school. You should know how to do that by now. So I'm just using my scissors, and I just cut off that edge. And it didn't come off perfectly because I rushed. I hope you don't rush. I have a little spot where I'm going to have to fix it, but I'll do that. You want to get as close to that line as you can so it looks like this. You don't want a big gap here or here, but you're going to cut off this piece. And you won't need that piece, so that is garbage or recycling, however you do that at your house. So I'm going to go back now that I'm going to take my time because I want to make sure this is good. You'll see why in just a minute. That's really important that you have that cut off right there. That looks much better. And there it is, cut off. Okay, that's activity sheet 16. All right, you can now set this aside. All right, so you're now going to grab activity sheet 17. And you'll notice on the top, exactly the same situation. We have a scissors and we have a line we need to cut. So once again, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut down that line and cut that strip off. And I do understand it's going to cut off part of the title on top. That won't matter for this because we're not worried about the title. The title was to find it in the book so you had the right sheet, which we've already done. After this, it's all going to become a poster. All right, so I have cut off that side. Got as close as I can to that line. Okay. And now we are ready to assemble our poster. Okay, so assembling our poster takes a little bit of doing, and I'm going to tilt my camera up. We won't be able to read all the numbers, but that's okay right now. I want you to be able to see what to do. Now you need to put the pages in order. So I'm going to remove 17. I'm going to get number 15 back out. That's the one I didn't cut. See, it's not cut. This one says number line poster, not continued, just number line poster. It's activity sheet 15. I'm going to set that out. I'm going to kind of scoot it off to the side. Now what I need to do is I need to attach number 16 to number 15. I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to line these up, and if you kind of scoot them around and get it, you eventually will see it lines right up and starts making a number line. Now it does not line the paper up perfectly when you line it up right. See, there's a little gap up here, and that's okay. That's supposed to happen. Okay. When you're done, you could trim around the whole thing if you want to make it look nice, but you don't need to. We need the data on it, not beauty here. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. Now I have two choices to attach it. One, I can use tape, put a piece of tape here, a piece of tape down there, or a piece of tape along this and connect it. Number two, I could take a glue stick and I could run some glue or use a glue bottle and put glue right up and down this white strip and then stick this on top. Either way you do it, you're going to want to connect this piece together to the other piece as close as you can so it looks like one solid long line. And you need to be able to see the numbers. See, if I go like this, it covers up the numbers. You've got to be able to see those numbers there. That looks pretty good. I'm going to use tape today just because for me it would be faster to use tape. That doesn't mean it's the best way to do it or it's the way you should do it. It's just the way I'm choosing to do it because that's the room that I have. So I'm going to scoot everything over here to give myself just a little more room. I'm going to line this up. Okay. Now when I do that, I want to make sure those numbers show. And I'm just going to stick a piece of tape here and a piece of tape down here. And since I have clear tape, I can go right over my numbers and it works great. There. Now it's connected. Now this line starts at 0. There's zeros all the way down here. Goes through the various fractions of halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, eighths, ninths, tenths, twelfths. And then it gets to 1 whole. So this is 1 whole, 2 seconds, 3/3, 4/4, because that represents 1 whole. We've been talking about that. Okay, so now you have your project just about done. Isn't this awesome? Probably not. You're probably thinking, okay, Mr. David, this is kind of a weird project, but it's okay. Now, we need to get to the side of activity sheet 16, which is the second one. Okay, so that's this one. Activity sheet 16. See the 16 there? Okay. This is going to be the area where if I was going to glue, I'm going to put glue here. Or if I'm getting ready, I'm going to use tape. I'm going to use tape again because I like being able to tape it. For me, it works because I can fold it up or whatever. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and now take activity sheet number 17, and I'm going to attach it here. I'm going to line it up the best I can. Again, I don't want to cover the numbers. I don't want to go too far over that I cover the numbers, but I'm going to line it up all the way down. And for me, I'm just going to take a piece of tape and put it here, another piece of tape and put it here. And if you have a mom or dad's handy, or brother or sister or somebody, they might be able to help you line this up too and get it. Now, when you get done, you're going to have a very large poster. See that poster? It's 3 pages long. I'm going to try this. I don't know how it's going to do. I'm going to try to put this camera up on my wall real quick and just see if you can see it better far away. So it looks like this. Yeah, that works. When this is done, it's a long poster. You'll notice it has 0 all the way over to 3. So this is the numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3. All divided up into fractions. And of course on the bottom, since it's 12s, it's very busy down there. And up here where it's just whole numbers, it's just 1, 2, 3. But as you see, the fractions get smaller. There's more and more places where it's divided. And I know you can't read that on the camera, but that's okay. I just want you to see what it looks like when it's done. So you want to construct this because this will be very helpful for us to use during the lesson today. The other way is with numbers, and we don't need to make anything for that. All right, craft time is done. Let me put the camera back down here onto the desktop, and let me move my poster, and let's take a look at what they want us to do today now that we have that built. All right, so here it is. Today we have this page in the book, and like I said, this is the only page you're doing. This, and then there's the math boxes, and that's it. So that makes life kind of nice. Let me get my camera readjusted a little better. There we go. Yeah, a little farther out. Got to be able to read the numbers, but we want to see the whole page. There we go. So again, this is lesson 7-6. You want to put your date and time here. And again, it's talking about exact number of wholes. Now it says on top that you can choose tools such as fraction circles. You would either have those cut out, and I don't any of you have those at home, but if you do, you could use your paper ones. Or you could go on to EM Games and use them. Now, as I said, this is probably the hardest way to do it. But if you want to do it that way, you can. The other choices are the number line poster, which you just built with me, or there's numbers to help me solve these problems. Number 1 says, does this fraction make an exact number of wholes? Now, we have to explain or show why or why not for each. Okay. The nice thing about our fractions and our fraction chart that we've made is that the answers are kind of here if you know how to read it. The first one they're asking, if you can see that there, is 9/8. That's the fraction they want us to take a look at. So we are going to use our chart for the first one, the thing we just made. We're going to go to our fraction chart, and we're going to look down. I'm on the first part, number line poster. I'm going to go down until I find the line that says eighths. This is where my highlighter comes in. Okay. I'm going to take my highlighter now. I'm going to move over an eighth. Whoops, I bumped the camera. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go over an eighths till I get to 8/8 or 1, and I'm going to highlight that. That's a whole number. 8/8. So if it falls on this line, that's a whole number. Moving down my chart a little bit farther, I can see in the eighths that if I get to 16/8, which you can't see, but now you can, 16/8 here, or 2, I'm at a whole number. And if I go here to 24/8 or 3 on the very bottom of my screen, not of the sheet, see, in the eighths column, I'm in the eighths column, that is a whole number. Everything else that is not highlighted is not a whole number. Well, you're probably thinking, great, Mr. David, that's just awesome, but how do I even use that? Well, that's why we have this video. So we are going to go to the eighths again on our chart. Here they are. I'm going to try to show the whole thing. There it is. Okay, you see where it says eighths there? 0 eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eighths is one whole. Now our first number in our book here is 9 eighths. So if I go over on this chart and I get to 9 eighths, is that highlighted? No. Is that a whole number? Not evenly. It would be a mixed number. It would be 1 and 1/8, one more eighth. This chart is pretty handy. It can even help you convert fractions if you don't want to do the division way. Because we know 9 eighths is, here's one whole, 8 eighths plus one more eighth. So 1 and 1/8 is what this represents right here. This chart kind of gives us our answer. No, it's not. It's bigger. Okay? So I'm going to take the chart away. Now we're going to figure out how to record what we just figured out in the book. Because notice, it doesn't just say, does it make exact number of holes? It also says we have to explain or show why or why not we know. We have to explain that we didn't just, figure it out. And I can't just write on here, I looked at my chart. Yeah, you did, but when you look at the chart, you also have to think. And that's what I'm interested in. And again, I can't figure that out when you're sitting at your house and we're here. So that's how that works. All right. So 9 eighths, we determined that no, that is not a fraction, a whole number. I'm sorry. It does not make exact number of holes. It does not make one whole. No. We did discover, though, that, and we'll put an arrow here, okay? We did discover that there's a reason why that is. We discovered that you could write this out in words or you could show it in numbers. It is 1/8 more than a whole. I'm going to put down this equation because we talked about this, that 9 eighths is equal to 1 and 1/8. Remember, we proved that on the chart. It's one whole plus 1/8 more. If we see that 9 eighths is equal to 1 and 1/8, it's pretty obvious that no, that is not an exact number. So therefore, that doesn't work. That proves it right there, doesn't it? Okay, so this is kind of what I want you to do today. You're going to either look at that chart you made to solve these, or you're going to do the other method, which I'm going to show you in just a second to solve these. And you're going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. And we'll take a look at them. I'm going to leave some for you to do, but I'm going to do a couple more with you just so you can see it. There's a challenge problem on the bottom and then some math boxes. So let's take a look. Now here's the other way you could do it. If you're pretty good at understanding fractions and good at division, you actually don't need that chart. Your parents, if they work with fractions a lot, don't need a chart to solve this. Mr. David does not need a chart to solve this. And I bet some of you don't need a chart to solve this either. Because that's a pretty big piece of paper to be carrying around in your pocket all the time to pull out and go, oh, let me check that fraction out. Flip, flip, flip. That just takes a lot of time. There's a way to do it in your head too, but it was good to do the poster first so you can see what I'm talking about and why it works. If I wasn't interested in that, I wouldn't have gone to all that trouble to make the chart with you and use it. Because there is another way to do it, but you don't always understand why it works if you do it this way. And understanding why is important to understanding math. Okay? So let's look at B, and here's another way to do it. I look at this number on top, the numerator, and I look at this number on the bottom, the denominator, and I'm going to do a division problem. And that's going to be my explanation over here too. So for now, I'm going to leave an arrow there, and I'm going to leave a blank here where I'm either going to write yes or no when I'm done proving this. So I'm going to kind of answer it backwards. Last time I put no, and I put why, because I had looked at the chart and I already knew. This time I'm going to find out why, and then I'm going to answer the question after. That's why I'm leaving this blank. Now to show this, if I take the numerator and divide it by the denominator, it's going to give me an answer. Here's the simple rule. If it has a remainder, the answer over here will be no. If there's no remainder, the answer over here is going to be yes, because it's a whole number that is flat out a straight whole number. Okay? So here's how we do that. We take 16, like I said, and we're going to divide it by 8. Now, how many times does 8 go into 1? Well, it doesn't. So how many times does 8 go into 16? Oh, 2, right? Because 8 times 2 is 16. And if we do the subtraction, we end up with 0. I don't know what the heck I did there. I was thinking and talking at the same time, apparently. Let me fix that. Wow, looks like a seesaw or something. Here we go. All right, 0. There's no remainder, is there? According to my little notes here, if there's no remainder, it's yes. Because look, it becomes 2. 16/8 is equal to 2. So yes, this makes one. Now let's say you wanted to be sure. Well, this chart shows you that. And you're thinking, it does? Yeah. The answer is actually right there. It's already printed. So I'm going to go to my number line chart. I'm going to go to the second line where I see 2's, and I'm going to go down until I find my fraction, the 8ths. Look at this right here. What's that say? 16/8 or 2. It's a whole number. It tells you that right there. In fact, we had it highlighted from our first problem. So you find your middle highlight mark in the second page, and you'll see 16/8 equals 2. That proves the answer beyond a reasonable doubt. We did it 2 different ways. We did it with numbers and the chart, and we proved that. Now here's what you're going to do for the rest of this part. Okay? You have 14/2. You can go to the halves on your chart. Find 14/2. If it looks like it equals or a whole number, well, then it's yes. And you could explain why here by writing that. 14/2 equals whatever. Or you could do a division problem, and use my little rules up here and figure that out that way and use this part, your math, as your explanation of why. Otherwise, you can write something there too. So you're going to be doing that, 22/8, 9/3, and 25/10. Now, I'm going to give you a hint because I've done this a long time. I'm pretty good at math, at least this kind of math. And so I can tell by looking at this because I'm done this for a long time. You are going to have, when you are done here doing this, you are going to have, I'll just write it over here, you're going to have 2 yeses and you're going to have 2 no's. Okay? 2 of these are going to be yes, 2 of them are going to be no. So if you get done and you have 3 yeses and 1 no, you made a mistake. Or if you have all no's and 0 yeses, you made a mistake. 2 of these should say yes next to them when you're done, and 2 of them should say no against them by them when they're done. So that's just a little hint. This is not an answer. It's just a hint. Boy, I'm bumping that camera today. I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is just a hint. But use that to help you check your answer. If you end up with 2 and 2, you probably got it and you're doing it right. All right, on the bottom there's a challenge problem, and I'm going to help you with this one, and then I'm going to go over the math boxes, and then this lesson will be done for today. It says here, what number of 8ths makes 5 wholes? Show how you know. Well, there's a problem with that when you look at it at first, because this is why it's a challenge problem. We're talking about 8ths again. So I'm going to go to my chart. I'm going to go to the 8ths, but this time I'm going to go to the third sheet on my 8ths. It only goes up to 3. 8 times 3 is 24, right? But it doesn't go up to 5. So how am I supposed to figure that out? Well, we use what we have, and we find out. We know that 24/8 equals 3. How did I get that? I looked at the chart. I could also do the division, right? 24 divided by 8 is 3. That works too. So the question comes then, to get 5, I need to make this number equal 5. So it's going to be a different amount of 8ths equals 5. This number up here, should put a question mark there right now, is the number we need to find. That's our answer. By the way, by writing this out as I'm talking, and by writing this out as you're thinking, you're doing this part. You're showing me how you know. See, I know I'm showing you where I'm thinking right now. This is how you do this. So it shouldn't be like, I have no idea how I knew. Well, you do know. You just got to record what you're thinking. Okay. So let's look at this. 3 times 8 is 24 if I work backwards. And that's a strategy we use sometimes. So I guess if that's true, 5 times 8 equals what? It's 40, isn't it? 40/8 equals 5, because 40 divided by 8 is 5. I can check that. So our answer, what number of 8ths makes wholes? Our answer is right here, 40/8. 40/8. And because I want to make sure my teacher knows this is my thinking, and this is my answer, you should probably circle your answer. Even in middle school, I usually know teachers like to have the answer circled in these kind of problems, so they understand you were thinking here, and now here's your answer. Now in this case, can you leave this as a improper fraction? Yeah, because that's what it's asking you to do. So you're good. It's done. So that's how you think through those. All right, this is getting a little long, isn't it? Or 25 minutes. Wow. Good job hanging in there and listening to me today. We're going to go ahead and go through the math boxes real quick. And I told you that in the math boxes, you would need to have a straight edge. And this is why. I'll show you in just a second. All right. Let's get the camera focused in a little better here so you can see better. There we go. Okay. So, again, please, for our math boxes, please put your date and time on the top so I know what you're doing there. And on here, in the first math box, you're going to be solving by adding. All the denominators are the same. So you're just going to add the whole number. 2 plus 4 is 6. Take your denominator, move it over, and then 3 plus 5 is 8, and get your answer. And if you can convert it into something, you should get good at that. Okay, number 2, you're going to draw lines of symmetry. To draw lines of symmetry, you need a straight edge. If you can find a line of symmetry, symmetry again means this is divided exactly in half, so it has mirror images on both sides. This is the tool you're going to use to show that. You're going to show how many there are, and then you have to tell me if this is a right angle, yes or no. If so, which means if yes, circle the right angle. Is there a right angle there? You be the judge. Number 3, you may want some used on scrap paper if you don't have room to set up your lattice, or if you're going to do a traditional or adding, repeated adding, or partial products, however you're going to do that. 2 problems to solve here. Here's some more fractions being added up, except this time the denominators are not the same. See, this is 10, this is 100. So you need to change this over, and I'm going to do one of these as a help for you. So I need to change this into hundredths so that I can add them, because you can't add them if they're not the same. So I know over here, I have 2 tenths. 10 times 10 equals 100, right? I know that. So that means whatever I do to the top, I got to do to the bottom. 2 times 10 is 20. So our fraction has now been changed from 2 tenths to 20 100ths. You could also just stack a 0 on the end of each one of these, right? I could put a 0 here and a 0 here, but I wanted to show you how that worked. Now you can add them. 37 plus 20, well, that's 57, and then the 100 stays the same because we're adding. So there's our answer, and that's how you're going to solve those. If these turn out to be improper, I don't think any of them would, but if they did, you could leave it in this case because that's what they want you to do. Down here, more fractions, but this time we're multiplying the fractions, so you need to be careful. Okay, because you need to change 5 into a fraction. 5, 1 is the same as 5, and then you're going to multiply that times 1/2. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2, so the answer would be 5 over 2. And you'll want to change that by dividing it. 2 goes into 5 2 times, and that leaves me with 1/2 left, or 1/2. That's my answer. Okay, so 5 halves or 2 1/2 is your answer. This is just some work I did to show you it. In the last math box here, you are going to have to figure out what this total fraction is. There's a huge hint right here. What does that symbol mean? Okay. You're going to take that total and you're going to subtract this from it, and the remainder is going to tell you what's left. Well, down here, you have to figure out which one of these is explaining that best. You actually don't have to answer it this time. You have to circle the problem that would get you there, though. So I gave you some hints when I talked about it, and you should be able to find something down here that accurately represents that. And those are your 6 math boxes for today for lesson 7-6. Little building, that poster, number line poster, hang on to it. We'll be able to use it in future lessons and in future things. It's a good tool. If you have a study area, you might want to hang it up on that wall in your room if it's okay with your parents, or stand it somewhere where you can see it, because that poster will be really handy coming up. All right, hope this helped you get through your lesson. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.